was one of those nights where the road seemed to disappear into a wall of fog. I was hauling a load of plywood from a mill upstate down to a construction site outside Mobile, Alabama. My Kenworth's headlights barely punched through the mist, and the CB radio had been silent for hours, unusual for that stretch of I-65. My GPS had long since lost signal, so I was relying on memory and road signs, praying I didn't miss a turn. The fog got so thick I slowed to a crawl, both hands white-knuckling the steering wheel. That's when I saw it, a deer standing in the middle of the road, not moving. I slammed the brakes hard, screeching to a halt mere inches away. It didn't flinch, it just stared. But what chilled me wasn't the deer. It was the glowing red eyes reflecting back at me. They weren't normal, not like how light reflects in animals. These eyes, they looked alive, intelligent. Then, just like that, it darted into the fog. The deer shook me up, but I tried to shrug it off. 20 more miles and I could rest. But just a few minutes later, road flares blocked the main highway. A hand-painted detour sign pointed left, down a narrow road I didn't recognize. I hesitated, checked my map, but there was no alternative. I followed the sign and turned down the side road. It was narrower than I liked, barely wide enough for my rig. The trees pressed close, their branches clawing at my trailer like fingers. The deeper I drove, the fog only got worse. That's when I noticed something strange. The temperature inside the cab dropped suddenly, even though the heater was on. And then, I saw another deer. Same red eyes, same dead stare. But this time, there were two. I grabbed the CB mic. Breaker 19, anyone out here? I'm stuck on a detour near mile marker 113. Got some strange deer playing chicken. Nothing but static. I switched channels. More static. I even tried my cell. Dead. That's when I heard the faint scratching on the passenger side window. Just a soft tick, tick, tick. I whipped my head around, heart thudding. Nothing there. I kept driving, uneasy. Then I passed a mile marker. It read 113, exactly where I thought I had been when I first tried the radio. That couldn't be right. I'd been driving for over 20 minutes. How was I still here? I adjusted the mirror and nearly drove into a ditch. The same deer with red eyes stood in the middle of the road behind me. But now there were 5. One even licked its lips. I hit the gas. No more playing games. My trailer groaned under the pressure, and I sped down the winding road, heart pounding. But no matter how fast I drove, they were always there, sometimes in the road, sometimes just beyond the trees, sometimes in my mirrors, watching. And then I heard something metallic scraping inside the trailer. My cargo was secured tight. There shouldn't be any noise back there. I pulled over on the shoulder, jumped out, and opened the trailer. Empty. Completely empty. No plywood, no straps. Just an icy chill and that strange metallic scent, like rust and decay. I backed out fast, slamming the door shut. That's when I saw it in my side mirror. A figure sitting in my passenger seat. I opened the cab door with a crowbar in hand, but the seat was empty. Still, the impression of someone sitting was fresh on the leather. My CB radio crackled suddenly. "You should have stayed on the highway, Ray." No one calls me Ray except my dad. He's been dead 10 years. I floored it. I needed to get off that road. The speedometer climbed and the trees blurred past. Then, the same deer again, same red eyes. This time its mouth open. Not in a bleat, but a whisper. "Stop running," I screamed, swerved, missed it by inches. And then, the detour sign again. The same one, hand-painted, faded red letters. I was back where I started. It wasn't just a detour, it was a loop. I was stuck. I couldn't tell if I'd been driving for minutes or hours. The clock on the dash blinked 3:33 a.m., over and over. I punched it. Nothing changed. The deer started to get closer. One ran alongside the truck. I swear it smiled at me. Another rammed the side of my trailer. The whole rig shook. I hit something. Hard. The windshield cracked. Blood smeared across the glass. I braked, shaking. But when I got out to check, there was no body. Just red handprints all along the grill. Human-sized. Fresh. I climbed back into the cab. That's when I noticed something wrong with the mirror. My reflection wasn't moving like me. It blinked before I did, tilted its head opposite mine. Then it grinned. Not a friendly grin, a hungry one. I covered the mirror with a rag and kept driving. I didn't want to see what came next, but the reflection wasn't done. The radio hissed again. "You're not leaving, Ray. Not yet." I remembered the emergency flares in the back. Desperate, I stopped again, this time determined to fight whatever this was. I laid the flares in a circle around the trailer, then doused the whole thing in spare diesel. Lit it up. The flames roared. Screams echoed out of the trees. The deer, they weren't animals. They were something else. Watching their loop burn sent them into a frenzy. And finally, as the fire blazed, the fog lifted. I don't remember falling asleep, but I woke up slumped over the wheel, sunlight spilling in. No fire, no flares, no blood. Just my rig, intact, fully loaded with plywood, and the highway ahead. I pulled onto the road, shaky but relieved. No sign of the detour. No deer. Just a faint red smear across the windshield to remind me it wasn't a dream. And when I checked the dash clock, it clicked from 3:33 to 3:34. Finally. I never haul night routes anymore. Not since that trip, and I never stopped for deer. I've driven trucks for 32 years, seen every kind of animal, weather, and weirdo this country's got to offer. But nothing, and I mean nothing, prepared me for what happened that fog-drenched night on Highway 47 in rural New Mexico. It was just past midnight when I crossed into the dark stretch between Socorro and Magdalena. No lights, no towns, just desert and blacktop. The CB was dead quiet, and my only companion was the hum of the tires and the occasional rattle from the reefer unit. My gut was tight. You know that feeling? Like something's watching. I rolled the window down for air, hoping the desert breeze would help. But the air was dead still, not even a whisper. That's when I realized the bugs had stopped chirping. No crickets, no wind, just silence. It felt wrong, like the world had paused, waiting for something terrible to happen. I spotted it first in the edge of my high beams, a shape low to the ground, darting across the road. Thought it was a coyote at first, but this thing didn't move like one. It had long limbs, almost like a man crawling, and its skin, pale and wrinkled like old leather. It turned its head as I passed, and I swear to God, those weren't eyes. They were just black voids, empty. I slammed the brakes, slid a little on the sand-blasted asphalt. When I looked in the mirror, it was gone. No movement, no dust trail, just the vast, empty desert. Then my lights flickered. The dashboard blinked. My radio spat static for a second and then returned to silence. I sat frozen, staring into the void. Was I seeing things? Or had something just crossed a line that man wasn't supposed to? About 10 miles later, the truck started acting up. Electrical glitches. My radio buzzed with static. Headlights flickered, and then the whole rig just died. Right there, in the middle of nowhere. No signal, no backup, no nearby truck stops. Just the desert and that thick, unnatural fog rolling in fast. I cursed and reached for the flashlight in the glove box. Stepping out, the silence hit me again. It wasn't peaceful. It was oppressive, like the desert itself was holding its breath. That's when I heard it. A low growl, far too deep for any dog. It echoed across the sand like thunder, rising and falling in pitch, almost melodic. the kind of sound you feel in your chest. I swept my light around, trying to find the source. The beam hit a Joshua tree, a busted fence post. Then something moved, fast, too fast. It darted just beyond the edge of the light. I backed up toward the cab. Then I saw it. Tall now, easily over 6 feet, hairless, with elongated arms and legs, standing upright like a person, but twisted and wrong. Its mouth opened wide, revealing rows of needle teeth. Its skin shimmered like it was wet, and it smiled. Not out of joy, but like it knew something I didn't. Like it owned the night and I was trespassing. I threw myself back into the cab and locked the doors. Started pounding the ignition. Nothing. That thing. It climbed onto the hood. I couldn't breathe. My chest felt like it was caving in. Its fingers tapped on the glass, slow and deliberate. Tap, tap, tap. Then its face got real close and whispered, "You shouldn't be here, Dusty." My blood went cold. I hadn't told a soul where I was going. How did it know my name? It ran its fingers along the windshield, leaving a black, oily smear, and just like that, vanished into the fog again. I sat frozen as the thing slid off the hood and vanished into the fog. I didn't move for what felt like hours. Then, out of nowhere, the truck coughed back to life on its own. The lights blinked. The engine roared. No warning. I floored it. Didn't care about legal speed limits. I was getting off Highway 47 or dying trying. But the desert had other plans. The road twisted in ways it never had before. Signs I'd never seen. The GPS spun uselessly. And that music box chime kept playing from somewhere in the sleeper cab. I was trapped in a loop. No matter how far I drove, every turn brought me back to the same stretch of road. At sunrise, I finally rolled to a stop by a broken-down gas station. Not on any map. Looked abandoned, but I knocked anyway. The door creaked open. On the dusty counter, written in ash, were the words, "You escaped once. Not again." I bolted back to the rig, but there, on my trailer, were claw marks, deep ones, and in the dust on the back, a handprint. Long fingers, too long, still warm. The sky was too quiet. No birds, no sun, just a gray haze, like the desert refused to wake up. I reached out to an old trucker friend, Bill Hawk Henderson. He'd been around longer than I had. When I told him what happened, he got real quiet. "You been on 47 near Magdalena, huh?" he said. "That stretch has been cursed since 1971. Government convoy disappeared there. Bodies found weeks later, shredded. The story got buried. Locals say it's some skinwalker variant, maybe worse." "You think it followed me?" I asked. "You ever dream of it?" "Yeah." Then it did. For weeks I stayed off the road, but trucking's in my blood and bills don't pay themselves. I took a short haul to Tucson, just 300 miles. Safe, I thought. But halfway there I passed a mile marker. It read 47. I never entered Highway 47 that day, but somehow I was on it, and the fog was rolling in again. That music box tune started up in the cab. My rearview mirror no longer showed the road, just darkness, and 2 glowing eyes. It's back. I don't know how long I've been driving. Days, weeks. I don't stop anymore. Can't. The truck won't let me. Every time I close my eyes, I see it sitting beside me, grinning, waiting. I think I'm the delivery now, being taken somewhere dark, somewhere deep. So if you're reading this, and you hear a chime outside your window, or see an 18-wheeler idling in the fog, don't come out. It already knows your name.